Welcome to our fourth keynote of the morning. This keynote will be held by Mr. Nico Münch, the Director of Business Development at Webasto Group, and he will talk about the evolution of mobility. Mr. Münch, the virtual stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here at the Future Battery Forum, and I'm representing the Webasto Group, which has been active in the area of batteries for the last 4 years. And this is a little bit like a case study of what we've done and how we've gotten into the batteries business. Number one is, I think, and it has already been talked about, mobility is changing. For the first time, we can say in the last decades, mobility is really coming to an edge right now. We all have the feeling, and especially when we look into cities, that mobility as it has existed over the last decades has come to somewhere like a border which has to be overcome. And the car industry is working on this, as especially with connected, autonomous, shared and electric mobility, but also completely different ways of mobility are currently evolving, like micro-mobility and also aviation, especially when we look at startups like Lilium and like Volocopter, which are planning to revolutionize the mobility. So the question is, who will win the race? And no one can say right now, but we are from Webasto are 100% committed that electric mobility in one way or the other will be the future. And we believe that the future belongs to electric mobility. But when mobility is changing so significantly, this will also mean that you have to adapt. And you don't not only you have to adapt in what you're doing, but also the way you're doing, so the how you're doing. And for a classic automotive supplier like Webasto, a tier 1 supplier, this means we really have to see how we can change and adapt the way of working. And we have basically covered this in our dual strategy, strengthening and participating. And we say, number one, for all our core businesses, we continue to invest, we continue to grow in these, but also the majority of our earnings, we are currently investing in the second pillar of our strategy, and that is participating in e-mobility. The Webasto Group is a traditional automotive tier 1 supplier, but one for which change is not new. So when we started over 100 years ago, we were actually doing very simple metal applications like mouse traps or luggage racks, also for the bicycle industry. And then we changed and we evolved and we adapted into the heating business. And from the heating business, Webasto did the next step into the sunroofs and roof business, for which it is very well known today. And based on these two pillars, the heating and the sunroof, we've basically grown to one of the top 100 automotive suppliers globally, with a really global footprint and more than 3.7 billion in turnover. So the majority of the money we are currently earning with sunroofs. Then we're quite well known, especially in the aftermarket, for our heating and cooling applications. But since 2016, especially ramping up 2017 and 18, we are also well known now, and we're getting a foot in the batteries and charging market, where we last year at least haven't earned the majority of our business. But when we're looking at this year, we've already acquired over 1 billion euro in turnover in those new fields. So they will be growing significantly over the next years. In the charging business, especially in the US, becoming partner of GM and Ford, and also in the batteries business, where we've acquired a very big contract in Korea this year. So how have we done it? When you're in 2016 and you've decided you want to enter this new business field and you want to participate in the electromobility, and you're a traditional automotive supplier, you basically, the number one question is, how do I grow and how do I set up my organization? And we had basically two options. Number one was we try to buy a company. Number two was we do it organically. And when we look at those years, especially, there were no large battery system supplier. There were large cell suppliers, and there were OEMs who were starting to go into this direction, but there was no real company that Webasto could acquire in the automotive business, doing what we wanted to do. So what we decided to was we definitely decided to hire our own people to focus on organic growth. And the beauty about the organic growth is that you can create the culture that you want, the culture that you need to actually change within the company, and that you get exactly the capabilities and that you need. So over the last couple of years, we've hired over 220 employees in the area of batteries, and we continue to grow basically 50% every single year, also in the next following years. Regarding the organization, you always have the question, do you place it fully integrated into the corporate, or do you make a separate startup which has the flexibility and the speed? But quite often you have the difficulty afterwards integrating the startup into the corporate world. So what we did right from the beginning is we kind of did corporate startup. So what we did is, yes, we hired our own people. Yes, we set up our own organizational structure, but fully integrated in the Webasto matrix. So, and then this is also reflected in basically the location where we are. So we are only 1 kilometer away from our headquarters, but this separation allows us to be independent, to be fast, to be flexible, and to create this young team, but on management level, everything integrated in the full organization. Why did we think that we can win as Webasto in the area of batteries? And the reason for it is that batteries is a manifold, it's like a decathlon. You need a manifold of capabilities to actually succeed in the area of batteries. So, and we looked at the capabilities that we're having at Webasto and how we can translate them. And obviously, the automotive processes, the automotive DNA was something that we were bringing to the market, which was not there before. Also, the area of mechanical system integration, EE integration, all those were capabilities that we're having in-house. On the other hand, the testing was something, I think, which was the biggest investment that Webasto has done. We created an amazing test facility in Hengersberg in one of our locations, and this was a significant investment to be fast, to learn fast, to be able to have a fast iterative process, in which we invested more than 16 million euros just in this one testing field. And then we can also take over all our production standards that we are having, producing a complex system that has to be tight, that has to be mechanically integrated. And for the cell production, it is something we said right from the beginning, this is not something that we do. There's large cell suppliers, and we have strategic relationships with these cell suppliers, which we're using. So in the end, what we created, basically, we used the Webasto vision that we had before, and we created our own mission. And this is really traditional electrified. We changed with passion, using the Webasto capabilities in this new world. So when we jump into the battery system, what does a perfect battery system look like? And when we look at the many different applications that we can use and that we can use batteries for and that batteries will be used for in the near future, obviously this is not an easy question to answer, because a construction vehicle might have very different requirements to a passenger vehicle, to a bus, for example. So the way we've basically split it is that two things, especially based on the size of the project. For smaller projects, smaller OEMs, because it is so expensive to develop a battery system, we said we focus on standardized batteries. While for the large OEMs, when we look at a VW Group, at a Daimler, at a Hyundai, Kia Motors, those companies have large project volumes for which it makes sense to individually develop a battery system. And so we have, and this is the same way we have set it up. And regarding the smaller OEMs and regarding the standardized business, we have developed our own battery system, the CV standard battery system, where we've looked at the different applications that you can use it for, and where we said, okay, what do we need? And we created a modular system that can be applied in multiple building spaces and for multiple applications. And there is quite a few of battery systems out there that you can buy, and there's a couple of competitors who are going into the same direction. But one crucial thing that we found out was that it's not only the mechanical integration that you need, but especially when you want to offer a modular system, what you need is you need something that reduces complexity for the customer, to make it simple for the customer to use this. And we did this with the so-called vehicle interface box. So you have decentralized battery systems, modular battery systems, depending on the application, 1, 2, all the way up to 10 battery systems in your vehicle. And they're all connected to this vehicle interface box. And the vehicle interface box is basically making sure that all these are safe, are working well, are fine, but they will, the vehicle interface box shows only one large system to the customer, so that the customer has only to focus on one system, which significantly reduces complexity. And this was actually the key to our success in the area of the standardized business. So we've been growing quite a bit. We're in Germany. We have now set up our regional headquarters and our prototyping testing facilities in China, and we're currently also expanding to the US. And the great thing with this is it's great to see when you have an idea in 2016, 2017, and when you work on it for 3 years, and once our CV standard battery system has come into serious production this year, we've directly received a couple of awards, and you can see them. You can see 2 of them here right now, and it's very great to see that innovative ideas can win these awards and are being recognized in Europe, and especially for a tier 1 supplier that has been doing traditional OEM business beforehand. So what we want to say is basically every technology can win, but what you need to do is you need to focus on your customers, on the changing environment, on the changing, and you have to adapt not only your product, but also your culture to it to actually be successful in this. And regarding this and how it actually looks like in Webasto right now, I would like to share a short movie with you.
We are 100% committed to e-mobility and provide sustainable solutions for a green future. With our future-proof battery systems, we ensure mobility works for everyone. engineered far beyond industry standard to perform and last in our high-quality testing and production facilities. To be one step ahead is embedded in our automotive DNA for more than 90 years. Whatever the future brings, we ensure mobility. Today and tomorrow.
Yep, that's it. We ensure mobility today and tomorrow. Thank you very much.